Anybody not take care of you in there? Anybody take liberties?
Van Vader, he was a piece of crap. He would just try to hurt you. And Sid, he was a little reckless, but he'd always apologize. But that was about it. Kevin Nash, I love him to death, but he's like a telephone pole. He was just that's his style. I mean, that's who he was. But he wasn't intentional. Just you could feel it. I'd be
Yeah,
like,
or
dang,
Kevin.
brother.
I worked Kevin a few times. I worked with Ludwig Borga one time. Do you remember him?
Yeah,
He says to
I never
me,
worked with him.
he goes, if you F up, I F you up. That was his
Oh,
message before our match. Yeah. Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. I didn't F up. You worked for Jim Cornette, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, correct?
Yeah, we did a few shows up there. Nelson Roy brought us up there, and that was really fun. They had some good crowds, and it was well produced. Jim Cornette to me is the greatest mind in wrestling still. I mean, he knows ins and outs, stories. He's just fun to be around. But I enjoyed my time there. I wrestled Nikita Koloff when we were there, Nelson Royal. But he'd have those matches a little bit longer than most stations would do, TV tapings would do, because it was still more of that old style. And that was the thing that Nelson and Gene taught us, the psychology of the business, which I don't think has ever been really taught ever again, because you learn how to draw the crowd in as a baby face and get the emotions up. And when you're in a building, a big building, 10, 15,000 people, and you can feel the emotions going back and forth, that's powerful. And I would watch the matches with those guys. Rock and Roll Express to me were experts at babyface. I'd seen women crying, thinking they were dying. And that's the art of what wrestling is to me, is to be able to draw somebody into that storytelling you're doing in the middle of the ring. It's not just high spots, bing, 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 bing. So that was very valuable that I learned that.
I did Smoky Mountain TV before. Jim was
Yeah.
always good to me. He booked me as an extra for WWE when he was in charge. I remember one time when I did the Smoky Mountain TV, Jim's blowing a gasket about something, and I look at Chris Candido. I'm like, buddy, what's going on? He's like, that's nothing. Just ignore it. He does this every day. Were you ever witness to a Jim Cornette freak out?
Oh, yeah. The funniest one to me is we were doing TV in Spartanburg for NWA, old auditorium there. That's actually, I live right down the road now from there. And he hated bugs, crickets, whatever it was. And he always had that little silver halberd. He put all his stuff. He's always very neat the way he put it in. I think Bobby put one. There's like a cricket, and he put it on his shoulder, but he had his jacket on. Oh, Jimmy, what's on your back? On your back? And he's throwing his halberd around, trying to hit himself with it. It's the cricket, and everybody got a good big kick out of it. He was mad the rest of the night. His face was solid red because a bug goes on the jacket.
You mentioned the southern crowds. The What was it? Tennessee? You said you did the TVs in.
For Smoky Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say Knoxville, Johnson City, probably. Yeah, I think
Any
that's what.
interesting interactions with those fans? Because those are different fans. They believed.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think the good is that they were also had watched NBA, so they knew who we were, the kids, me and the guys that came up. So they
Hmm.
were as baby faces. They were very very nice. But yeah, they're a smart crowd. They knew the business. I mean, like you said, it's you either good or bad. Which one you?
Right. When I went up there, I drove up with. Do you know Balls Mahoney, Boo Bradley,
I know of it.
and D'Lo Brown?
Yep.
And D'Lo wouldn't get out of the car in some of the towns because there was crosses on people's yards in 1993, 94. So there were some interesting people when we were driving through those towns. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's like you have to go back at 10 years and set your clocks back 10 years because like they haven't caught up with the rest of the world.
Very true. One other guy I got to talk to you about is Herb Abrams. You worked for the UWF?
Herb, yeah, I think I did a couple matches. I know I did Barry Horowitz and I know I did Orndorff, both on their TVs. And just for whatever reason, I don't remember too much from that time. Just being around the boys. but I just thought, their television product was good. And but Barry Horowitz, I love working with him. He's a riot, and Paul Orndorff at that point had trusted me enough so we go out back and forth and have some good matches. Did you ever
So
work for Herb?
never did. No. No, I broke in 92 and he was what? 91, 92? I'm trying to think.
Probably. He was pretty old.
Yeah, back in the good old days. So you only worked the one taping for Herb?
I think a couple of them maybe. I don't know. I think one because he'd do shows in the can. It was one of
Hmm.
those things that Nelson's like, hey, just wherever he got me booked, I'd travel with him because Nelson was always getting booked.